Yo, what up? It's your man Melvin Taylor, and I want to say thank you so very much for tuning into the Alternative Road podcast. Now, I know this podcast is for you for one of two reasons. One, either you one of the homies, and I greatly appreciate you for listening, or two, you are somebody that's very much like me and thinking the traditional route of being able to make your dreams come true just ain't a reality anymore, or it's never really been realistic to you. That's what inspired me to start this podcast. I really want to speak with people who have made their versions of success come true on their own terms. Now, if you want to support the show, you can do a couple things. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Melvin Taylor II. You can definitely rate the show here and give us 5 stars below and tell us why you like it so much. And last but not least, you can also support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Melvin Taylor II, because all of it goes into the creative efforts that I produce for the world. Before we start the show, I got to say thank you to my man Avery Minor for this beat, because in case y'all don't feel it already, this mug is fire. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Let's get into it.
Corey and Justin, thank you guys again for joining with us today. I definitely want to ask you guys, how has quarantine been for you individually?
Well, for me personally, for me and Justin are roommates, so we might have similar stories, I guess. I'm not really sure what his perspective is going to be. But for me, it's been cool. I mean, I've been chilling. At first, at the beginning of quarantine, I started like doing a little painting and stuff, and that kind of went out the door pretty fast. But me and Justin have really just been growing the business, man. We've been super creative. I think it brought us a lot closer to our staff and really just understanding what's going on with our business. And it's been chill. I mean, we don't do much anyways outside of work, so it doesn't feel like anything different is really happening minus like the way we like have to get food or like grocery shopping and stuff. So for me, it's been great. I've just been chilling and just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, and then for me, I've kind of been on the same, like, before quarantine, I really didn't do too much anyway, so, like, it just gave me an excuse to be myself even more, so I was just relaxing in the house, you know, just working. Like, I'm the type of guy, I just get on YouTube and, like, learn all day or read all day, so quarantine was just made it a lot easier to just continue doing what I was doing already, so that's really it.
Got it. Okay. So I'm glad, Corey, you brought up that you was doing painting for a little bit, because that was going to be my next and follow-up question to that. Were there any new skills or anything that you guys had worked on during that time? So since you said it was painting for a little bit, I kind of got you covered. Justin, you said you've been going through those YouTube rabbit holes. Is there any video in particular that you were like, oh, man, this conspiracy kind of sounds legit, or anything that you found?
Yeah, most of the stuff that I watch on YouTube is just like educating myself on just like advertising, like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, stuff like that. So that's more majority of what I'm watching. But other than that, as far as like conspiracy or anything like that, not really. But I get interested in just like how big the world is. So Corey will tell you, like, one day when I showed him like how big the universe is, he was like, "Yo, bro, stop showing me stuff like this, because it's something I." But it's just stuff that I randomly get into.
Yeah. Okay, I can understand that. Once you realize how small we really are in the grand scheme of things, you like, hey man, I need you to chill out some. Like, we can focus on something else.
Right.
And last thing before we do end up moving forward some more, what has been the best movie or show that you guys have watched during quarantine? Whether that's like something that you just happened to randomly catch, or something you finally had time to catch up and watch.
I like Ozark.
Yeah.
I've been watching it. I watched the whole 3rd season in one day. So.
Oh wow. I found and watched Ozark too at a different time frame than him, but I'm watching Money Heist right now on Netflix, and that's really good. And then I also discovered a YouTube called Mythical Morning, Mythical Morning or something like that. And I just like the thing they do. They do these 10-minute videos where they basically try food blindfolded from different fast food restaurants, and they have to guess like where it's from. And I be feeling like I can do a lot of that stuff, but I guess you never really know until you try it.
No, definitely. I want to say Ozark is something that is for sure on my list. The Money Heist is something I'm going through right now, and now I'm gonna have to check out this YouTube channel as well, because that sounds like a lot of fun and something that could help to spice up what I'm normally watching. So appreciate that.
Oh, for sure. So, no problem.
Earlier, you guys said that you've been using this time in quarantine to like really use it to look more into the business and what's been going on. How has quarantine impacted SBC so far?
For me, I think it's one of the best things that could happen, honestly. It got us we're doing less events, which is, I guess, is kind of a bummer, but it gives us more time to sit in the warehouse and really look at our processes and how things work. And then, on top of the quarantine, with everything with the George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter stuff going on, people are now buying Black and supporting Black. So we're already just doing what we were doing before then, and it's been beneficial to us because now people want to support Black businesses. And so us being a small Black business, our business has grown. We got to bring on a lot more staff and hire more Black individuals like Nasha. And so it's just been good. I mean, it's been a great time for us. And, unfortunately, this is how it had to happen. But we're grateful that we were able to kind of move forward in this time and not move back or lose out on anything. So
a few days before all of this stuff kind of hashed out, I was worried that we weren't going to make a lot of money because I thought that people were going to be holding on to their dollars rather than spending them. But turns out that, folks got their stimulus, and the little money that they did have, they were being more cognizant of where they were spending it. So they were only spending with Black businesses if they were Black people, things of that nature. So, and from what I thought was going to happen of not making too much, we ended up tripling, quadrupling the business, in the first month of quarantine, which was very interesting.
Yeah, quadrupling in any way, shape, or form is always an insane thing, and I'm glad that it was able to happen for you guys in that way. So I want to go with the next question and ask, tell me a bit about how you two first met.
Yeah, so we both went to Howard University. So we met at Howard University. He was a freshman, I was a sophomore. And I used to throw parties at Howard. So I was throwing a house party one night, and I just see this random kid outside with this big old afro just chilling just on the sidewalk. And so I was kind of bro, what's up? You straight? You good? Because just wanted to make sure he was cool, because, a lot of times freshmen sometimes overdo it, so you just don't really ever know. So he was actually just chilling, and then he was I used to throw parties in Houston, I'm just gonna see what I got going on out here. And, I was come in, pull up or whatever. And then that's kind of the first time we ever really met. I didn't know too much about him at that point, but I mean, he was chilling, and anybody who willing to quote unquote work or be outside of a party, not actually partying, I'm interested in knowing what's going on. So, that was our initial interactions. And then with him having this big hair, he a lot of people noticed him pretty early on his freshman year, and he just became one of those people who were just pretty cool and popular on campus. And we got cool, and he started doing some parties with us and kind of doing his own thing at times as well. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of just how it started as far as us meeting and just becoming friends.
No, that's awesome. Okay. I definitely know what you mean by freshmen sometimes want to do a little too much, and seeing somebody that stands outside is no, I'm just doing my own thing. Yo, let me go talk to him real quick, because he might be on another level. Let's see what's going on here.
Right.
And with that being the first time that you guys met, when was that first initial conversation that you had about maybe doing a business together? Maybe not the one that eventually led to SBC. If that is the case, then cool. But what was that first one like? Yo, maybe we should really work on building something together.
Well, I would say parties. There was a lot of our person who was kind of I guess quote unquote leading us at the time. He had his freshman that he wanted to bring on, and then the group, we actually had other people we wanted to bring on. So Justin was one of the people that I wanted to bring on, and I was fighting for him to be on our squad. And just the way things worked, it was just really there was a lot of politics, and we ended up, Justin was look, I can work with everybody. I don't have to be on one certain team, whatever. And then Justin wanted to do some of his own stuff, but then that next year we were bro, we should just do some stuff together. And I think that was that next year we did our freshman week parties together. And I feel it kind of just started our working together. That was the first time we actually worked together, on our own, and decided to do, whatever we wanted to do, essentially.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. And Justin, what were your first thoughts when you were talking to Corey? Was it like, yo, who was this dude talking to me? Did you think he was cool?
I'm trying to think. Most of what I remember was really just like trying to get a feel for the market and like what was going on. When we talked, I just figured that he was someone that was, either throwing the party or had something to do with it. So I just thought he was, chill dude trying to get his money. And I was just trying to figure out what was going on with the market. So it's any way for me to figure out what's going on and try to best figure out how I can get my foot in the door. That's just what I was trying to do. I was just a young dude, like, hadn't been throwing parties before, and I just wanted to get my foot in the door in DC. So when we met outside the party, I just figured that he was doing a thing. I was like, cool dude. Oh, y'all want me to throw parties with y'all? Cool, that's fine, let's do it. And then we just kind of went from there. But it wasn't anything where I premeditated. It was very organic how we met.
Got it. Okay. And I do want to get into you throwing parties in Houston a little bit later on. So I definitely have that written down a little bit further. But the next thing that I do want to talk about is you both chose to go to Howard instead of a PWI. And whenever you read anything about SBC, you both talk about how it was founded because your college experience changed your lives for the better. Can you tell me what was that decision for you to end up going to Howard, and what about Howard or HBCU in general, taking it to a broader scale, helped to change your life for the better? Like, how were you able to see that?
For me, so my mom went to Howard, and even though she went to Howard, it wasn't necessarily something I was just thinking about like all the time. Like, I didn't know I was going. My initial schools I wanted to go to was Duke, Carolina, or A&T. And so when I was visiting those places, I just didn't feel like it was home. When I got to Howard, like, it felt like home almost immediately. And it was one of those things where I was like, okay, well, now I'm out of state and I'm in DC. But leaving school for a year, doing this crowdsourcing / GoFundMe campaign where I raised $32,000 and ended up on MTV and BET, and it was like a really big thing. And that experience, the struggle, but then the success, just kind of taught me how to be a go-getter and really not take no for an answer. And I think that that HBC experience, specifically at Howard, just really got me to be like a dog, especially when it comes to business and getting to the money and stuff and that hustle mentality. I think that's something that you can't get anywhere else. And so I definitely think that played a huge role in who I am today. And then obviously starting the business next, it was it's an HBCU business. So it clearly changed my life because now this is how I make my living, is based off of my experience at Howard University.
Yeah, for me, I was the first one in my family to go to college at all in general. So I didn't know too much of anything. I graduated. I was the first one in my family to go to college at all. So I didn't know too much about just college in general. Before I got on campus, I couldn't tell you a fraternity. I didn't know that the bands were a big deal. I literally knew nothing at all. So I actually chose Howard because I got accepted to Baylor, University of North Texas, and Howard. Those are the only three schools I applied to, and I got into all three. And I went to do a program at Baylor where you stay on campus for a week. And they had us doing some type of wild rocket science, and it was just too hard. I was like, there's 0% chance I'm going to go here, at all. So that was ruled out. And then University of North Texas, I was still debating. I ended up going to get a haircut, and my barber, I was telling him yo, I'm either about to go to Howard or go to University of North Texas. And he was like, yo, bro, go out of state. You've been in Texas your whole life. Just choose Howard. I don't know if he knew anything about it or if it was an HBCU or anything of that nature at all, but I just ended up taking his advice and going. And that's really all it was. But as far as it making me who, changing anything for the better, I always say that it just made me more who I am, because coming into college or just school in general, I was always myself. I was just that kind of guy that was like gonna always say what I thought, be who I am, and I don't really care too much of what others think. And I'm just being myself. So when I got to a place where there was a bunch of people that were like me and looked like me, and I was surrounded by love, and, just Black folks in general, I just became more of who I was already. And that's really all the HBCU experience did for me. But obviously, you learn so much stuff like business, how to finesse, you learn about yourself and who you are and your history, just different things like that. So, but the biggest thing I probably took from it was just like, continue to be yourself. And that's really all it was, because that's what it did for me, honestly.
I feel that 100%. One thing I do got to say is shout out to the barbers for always having the good intel and info to help you out in your life when you need it. Like, I don't know what it is about Black barbers, but whenever you like, man, I got a problem, they're like, bro, let me cut your hair and fix that for you. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, Corey, you back on the line?
Yeah, my phone be acting weird too sometimes. So if I be on for like 10 minutes, it start like breaking out. So I just hung up and called back in.
Okay. No, I feel what you're saying, bro. Because like we were having the talk earlier, I have no clue what's going on with T-Mobile service up here right now. But my phone has been acting dumb crazy, and I'm like, I cannot continue to do this. Like, y'all got to get this together.
I get it. Trust me.
Man. So next thing I do want to ask is Howard has been in the news recently for a top basketball prospect, Makur Maker, deciding to go there for his fall season. I just want to know what you guys think, as both being alum of the school, how you think it could impact the school, and potentially even, getting him an SBC sweatshirt to rock, when he's around campus and whatnot. That's going to be a pretty big deal because he's like 7 feet tall, but I know y'all can make that happen.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's one of those things to where it was needed because it needed to be brought up in conversation. So essentially all that choice that he made was, hey, I'm a leader and I'm willing to try to become a legend, because that's essentially what his choice was. It opened the floodgates and the doors for Black kids all over the world to say, oh, wow, this top prospect went to HBCU. We don't know if he's going to pan out or he's going to go on to go to the league or anything like that, but it's definitely a possibility, especially since his brothers and a lot of his, I think one or two of his family members are in the league already. It just kind of gives hope in general. So now Black kids all over are saying, hey, I'm a top prospect. I don't need to go to a Duke, Carolina, or PWI in general. I can go to a school where the people look like me, they support me, and I can go to the league too. And I make my own destiny. I create my own journey. And if I'm good enough, I'm going to make it. And that's just the end of the story. So I think all his choice did was, solidify him as that pioneer who was willing to make a change, and then open the gates for anyone else behind him who's brave enough to follow in his footsteps. So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, and just to add, I'll talk from more of a Howard perspective, less from like a everybody perspective. Howard games already be lit, and we don't even be that good sometimes. So to have a player like that, it's gonna be super lit. Like the games already be crazy. So it's like, I think that it's gonna give that just that fanfare and that true Howard identity that we're known for. It's gonna really bring a lot of people to the Burr.
Well, good. I'm excited to hear that. I can understand what you're saying in terms of teams don't even be that good. They be lit. I went to a small PWI in like the middle of Illinois, and we was terrible, but the games was always fun to go to. So I definitely get what you mean by that. So the next thing is, I know that from what you guys have been saying, SBC, the goal for it is to be able to get global outreach in a way. What does that look like to you to have that global outreach when SBC is able to be there?
To me, like, it looks like a bunch of different things. I mean, it really just depends on what your focus is and what you want to do. I mean, I think it'd be really cool to like see an HBCU in a different country. I think that'd be awesome. Based off of, the merits of the brand we built, that a country would be like, I think we need one of these over here, and have that history and culture in a different country, and maybe provide programs so that if someone's studying abroad or overseas in that respective country, that they can get that same HBCU experience. That's just like a random thing that like I just thought of that I think would be super cool. But when you're talking about outreaching on a global level, then how much more global can you get than having a school that fits your direct business and brand in another country?
What up, y'all? I had to take a quick break to let you know we got our first official sponsor for the podcast, and that is DistroKid. Now, DistroKid is a digital distribution service that musicians use to put music into online stores and streaming services. So to get your music on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon, Tidal, you want to use DistroKid. Now, what we're doing is giving you guys 30% off of any yearly plan to upload unlimited songs. All you got to do is check the link in the description box. Thank y'all so much for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, for me, I always think about, when you think about like, or talk about global expansion, it's more so just building the brand as big as possible. So whenever we talk about where we're trying to take things, it's more so like, how can we be the Black Nike, or how can we make as much money as possible to donate it back to Howard or A&T or any type of school, so we can fund the programs that we think that, because at the end of the day, it's like, all right, these kids don't want to go to these schools a lot of the times because they think that they can become a better basketball player or a better student somewhere else. So how do we make as much money as possible to get our students that look like us to come to our schools and feel like they're not losing anything? So our goal, or it's in my eyes, is just to make the brand as big as possible. So, signing big talent, starting our own AAU teams to make sure that kids are seeing Black owners and just Black-owned businesses from, 5, 6 years old all the way up until they need to make their college decisions, because that's how these Adidas and Nike guys are doing it. They're starting at these 5-year-old AAU games and taking them all the way up. And then whenever it's time to make their decision, well, I've been wearing Nike my whole life, so I'm going to a school that's sponsored by Nike. So when you talk about global expansion, my idea is, how do we make it as big as possible? How do we become the Black Nike, the Black Adidas? And what can we do to make our kids and the people that look like us support our movement and make it as big as possible? And that's just been the story for me.
I love that. I absolutely love those ideas from both of you guys. I think that those are things that, as a community, we should continue to be able to talk about and iterate, because that is where we need to go, and we need to have entrepreneurs like you guys that are helping to push the envelope to be able to get us there. So very appreciative to be able to hear that from you. What were some of the early challenges that you guys had in building SBC and putting it together?
It's so many challenges. When you start a brand from scratch and growing it in general is a challenge. But for me, the early on was just finding the funds to make the stuff that you want to make, even for like samples, because you kind of don't know how that process works. So you're spending a lot of money kind of early. So, that was my first thing. Just having the funds and figuring out the right way to put everything together. That was mine.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because, whenever folks ask me this, I feel really blessed, because there's never been any time where we didn't have enough money to do something or we were super stressed out. We haven't taken on any venture capital or raised any money or anything like that. We literally started this from our own pockets and grew it from, literally bootstrapped it from nothing to something. So like Corey said, I think the biggest problem is just literally learning the business day by day, because there's so many things that you have to learn every single day. When you go from not having any staff to having 20, 25 staff members, you don't know what that looks like until you are actually practicing it. So there's everything that's a part of a business is a struggle, but you learn it quickly and you keep going. So probably I would just say learning business in general, because there's so many different aspects. And if we don't know it, then we have to learn it, and it's a struggle while we're learning it. But then afterwards, we have that knowledge and that business acumen to where we can keep moving forward. But there's probably hundreds or thousands of things that we still don't know that we're going to have to struggle with and learn from the day to day, probably today, tomorrow, or the next day. So, yeah.
No, understandable. Thank you for that. The next set of questions that I have are going to be a bit more individually based, and then we'll be able to hop back into SBC as a whole. So, Corey, I want to start with you and say that, if we're looking through the list of people you've been able to work with, right, they've certainly been very qualified. And I want to ask, what's something that you've taken away from the people that you've been able to work around? Say, for example, I see that you've been able to do some work with Sean Parker in the past, right? What's something that you've seen through either working with him or someone else of that stature that you've taken to internalize for yourself and for the business?
Sean Parker, man, I had a really interesting experience with him. One of the craziest things about him is the way he thinks of things. He thinks of things on like a much bigger level than the average person. So we were in LA for like a team, like it's like retreat kind of thing. And we were at this dinner where he like basically bought out the restaurant. There was no one else in there but us. And like it was like 30 staff members. And we were like brainstorming some concepts for this app. And this one guy who was like, I consider one of the best UX guys we had, super smart guy. They were talking about ideas. And so him and Sean were going back and forth about this idea. And Sean kept saying, like, go bigger, like, go bigger. And the dude was going bigger. And the ideas, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. But Sean was like, no, go bigger, like bigger. And it was crazy because, like, in my head, I'm like, ain't no way he can go bigger than that. And so, like, randomly out of nowhere, Sean, like, slapped the guy on the face. And like, was like, go bigger, and like slapped him. And then the guy thought of something bigger and it like came out and everybody just like started clapping or whatever. It was like really weird. But I had to say, what'd you say?
No, I'm just laughing because that's a crazy story.
I just said that to say like somebody like Sean, he's a billionaire because he thinks of things on a next level. So there's nothing too big for him in his head. And so I kind of like took some of that, like took that mentality and I was like, yo, there's nothing that we can't do. So like when things happen to us, I'm never surprised. I'm just like, all right, cool, what's next? Like nothing surprises me anymore because I feel like we are able to do really anything that we want to do.
Man, that's wow. Okay. It makes a lot of sense when you think about someone who is at that status, always has to think kind of in that way to be able to continue to build on what they've done. But I don't know how I'm going to react when my boss just smacking the mess out of me, telling me to think bigger. Like, I don't know if I'm that guy. Like, shout out to him because he took it because it couldn't be me.
I told him, I was like, yo, I would have been so damaged and hurt that I would have been getting some money.
Right. I'd be like, oh man, my jaw is out of alignment, Sean. I don't know why you did this, bro. All of that. So Justin,
I would have had a nice little bag.
Right. For sure. Justin, I want to ask you the same kind of question because I've seen that you work with people such as Tyler Perry as well, right? What is something that you've taken from someone whom you work with and internalized for you and also help to use in your skill set or in the business?
Yeah. The biggest thing I think I learned with working for other people is that you kind of have to get what you can out of it while you're there. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it more so in a way like, if you're doing sales at a place, you need to educate yourself as much as you can in sales. So using your company to say, hey, do you guys provide any type of, courses or learning or training or anything like that? Because the best way that I benefited from working for other people was just learning as much as possible while I was there, whether it be from courses or training and things of that nature. But on the flip side, the other thing that I've learned from working for other people, because I've only ever worked for two people. So one, I worked at Shoe Carnival when I was 16. And then when I graduated from college, I went back to Houston and I worked for this Amazon-based business that sold like scales and like different home stuff like that. But I just realized that, and then even working with Tyler as well, they're great people, but it just always clicks to me as like, I'm not meant
to be working for others, and I'm not built that way because I'm just not happy when I'm doing it. So it kind of just always put that bug in my, like, yo, bro, you're meant for something greater. You're meant to, service a lot of people, but doing it yourself, building something for yourself and building it super big so that you can provide different types of opportunities for others and do it in the way that you want to. Because anytime I've ever worked for someone, besides time it was cool working with them, but anytime I worked for someone, I just wasn't happy. So I wanted to be able to provide a different experience off the merit of building a business myself. And yeah, that's pretty much what I learned.
No, it's very super important and key to being able to see, you know what, how do I want to be able to go about what I'm going to do in the future? So thank you for that. And it's very insightful as to what you've been able to do so far. The next question is actually for you too. And it's kind of circling back to what you were saying earlier. You grew in popularity in Houston from throwing those parties, right? And building your digital marketing skill set. When was that moment, or what was that moment where you were like, yo, I'm really good at this, but I kind of need to translate this to something else to be as good as what I know I can be?
That was probably came after Houston, because in Houston, I was just 15. Like, I graduated a year early. I skipped a grade. So in college, I was 16, I think 17, maybe like 16, 17-year-old freshman. But it didn't click really in Houston. I was just making a couple $100 here and there, maybe a couple thousand if I did a party myself. But I was like 15, 16. So I didn't really know too much about what was going on. I was just saving up my money to buy like random dumb stuff that I wanted. But when I got to college, it didn't really hit until probably after school, because I was really depressed like when I left school, because I was most popular kid on campus, making a lot of money, a couple $10,000-$15,000 a month, whatever, just with my close friends. But when I left school, I didn't have any job offers. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't know what I was going to be doing because, popularity doesn't really translate when you're talking about real life. So that moment kind of hit me, and I was like, you know what? I'm really good with the digital marketing stuff. I'm really good at promoting, branding, marketing. Let me translate that into something that's more viable and something that I can scale up in the long term. And then that's what I did. So it didn't really hit until that moment was like right after I graduated, honestly, because I was really sad. But yeah, I'm thankful that it hit at the time it hit, because I was able to take life more seriously, and I was super young still.
Yeah, it's good that you were able to have that adjustment period at that point to be able to move forward in the ways that you have. And second, yo, you was 16 going to college, bro? Like, yo, you couldn't do nothing.
Yeah,
you could do everything.
Well, okay, again.
Like, it was cool to me. One of my big things was like, I'm going to graduate before 21. So I ended up graduating at 21. But at first, when I was younger, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool because I'm going to graduate and I'm still not going to be able to drink yet. Mind you, I was drinking and doing whatever I wanted in college, but technically I wasn't able to. But I ended up doing 4.5 years rather than just 4. So I ended up graduating at 21. But at one point in time, I was going to be graduating at 20 and still not able to drink. So that was pretty cool.
Yo, that is awesome. Like, congratulations to you, because I ain't no way in the world I'm going to be 16 being able to handle everything in college. But shout out to you, bro, because, you one of the special ones that can do that. Corey, so what I want to ask you is, first off, during this whole quarantine period, have you ever thought about going back to selling those 25-cent ices outside, because it's hot as I don't know what outside right now, especially here in New York? But second, and more seriously, can you talk a little bit more about that time when you had to leave Howard, and tell us what is it that you learned about yourself that contributed to you being where you are today?
Yeah, I've never considered going and selling no kind of ices no more, but I have considered taking on more businesses. And me and Justin, we talk about that constantly, like always finding more ways to make money. So, I mean, that mentality is always going to be there. I'm never not going to have a hustler mentality of, never going to put my eggs in one basket. I've been investing in a lot of stocks recently. I'm about to start this canvas business. I got a few things that I'm working on, like undercover, but my time at Howard and my situation happened to me. It was one of those things where I felt like I had lost it all. Like, I loved Howard. Like, Justin was the most popular kid on campus. I was probably like top 10 popular kids on campus. Like, knew everybody. Like, I was like the president of the School of Business freshman class. Like, I did it more like outside the classroom and inside the classroom. So it was one of those things where, you know, I was playing basketball with my friends every day, and all that was taken away from me like randomly, like just one random day. Like, I couldn't like swipe my card to get into the cafeteria, and like I was staying like in a bunch of friends' rooms and sneaking in dorms to like have places to stay. So I didn't want to leave the world that we call Howard. And once I had to, I went back home. I was working. My first job was working at another college, High Point University in Greensboro, or in High Point, North Carolina. And if you know anything about High Point University, it's like it got voted like top 10 like nicest campuses in the world. Like it's like a country club there. A bunch of rich white kids go there, and I was a yard worker. Like I cut grass and stuff, and like to go from being like one of the most popular kids on campus, throwing parties and making thousands of dollars and like all the girls like you and all this just random stuff to like cutting somebody's grass and you're like no one notices you. It's like a real humbling experience. And so for me, I knew that I never wanted to be in that situation again where money got to define like what I could do with my life or in life. And so I always tell myself like that, like I'm gonna go hard at whatever I got going on and I'm not gonna accept no for an answer. And I've been living that way ever since.
Amazing. I can understand how, you know, such a shift. Like obviously growing in popularity, being where you are, not wanting to leave that bubble, right? But then having to go outside of that and making sure that whatever you do, you can keep that momentum going. It's certainly understandable. Okay. The next thing that I have for you guys is when you read through SBC, you see that scholarship, community service, mentorship, and mental health are kind of the quote unquote pillars of what it is that you guys want to do. What is it that make those four things so important for you guys, and why that's something that you want to be a part of the establishing body of what SBC represents overall?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to two of them. I'll speak to scholarship and mental health. Scholarship, because I mean, that directly affects us because me, myself, didn't have money to go to school. So, you know, building a business, I wanted to make sure that other people didn't have to lose out on that opportunity because everybody ain't going to be able to get back like we. Everybody don't have the hustle or the grind or the know-how or the resources to do so. So, I mean, that was a pretty easy pillar. And then mental health, my sister, one of our staff members, even Nasha, she has family, like, that deal with mental health daily. And I think that is super important. Even just that he deals with depression, like, mental health is so important right now. We live in a society that everybody's looking at everybody else doing things that they think are great. And, you know, it's easy to feel like you're not where you're supposed to be at in life or doing what you're supposed to do. So I think that's just super important to make sure that we help those people to know that you are important, you are valuable, what you're doing is right. And that's all a part of, you know, that community and that family atmosphere that HBCUs offer to you. So we want to try to do the same as a company.
Understood. Unsure if...
My bad. I was on mute.
No worries.
I was gonna say that I'll speak to the mentorship piece because same thing that kind of Corey's talking about with scholarships. I got zero scholarship money at all. Luckily, like I was raised by like the world's most perfect woman in general. Like my mom worked day and night to pay for me to go to school. Like she was a real estate broker during the day, and she would do bottle service at night, and she was just breaking in cash and paying for me to go to school. So I was blessed there. But as far as mentorship, you know, it's always interesting to me because especially being young guys, like I just turned 26 yesterday. It was always kind of annoying to me that how come I couldn't easily find somebody that looked like me that was doing something that I wanted to do. And if I did find it, it would be on the internet and I wasn't sure if it was real or like anything like that. I didn't have any tangible people that I could just touch and say, hey, I know this guy is doing something that I want to do. Let me follow this guy's footsteps.
So that's really important for us because I felt like I didn't have it at all. So for me, I even do that with my friends now, like from back home. Hey, this is what we're doing. We're doing really good. Come and follow the blueprint and do it exactly as I did it. And you have me all the way through to ask any questions that you need because I didn't have that. So I think it's just more so being those type of people that can, give information for free, and we know how to make money. So we don't need to, sell stuff to people. So just being good guys and, offering our time and our mentorship to people that were like us and just didn't have it in general. And then as far as mental health, like Corey said, I struggled with that a little bit after college, but I started to learn just through, reading, watching videos, things of that nature that, you got to have a very good perspective with time because a lot of people, they look at what everybody else is doing and then they just don't realize that everybody has their own journey and time. We have so much time. Like I'm 26. I can do nothing for the next 24 years and still be 50 and have 50 more years left of life to live. And I can start at 50 and still be as fruitful as a businessman as I was at 26. But people don't have that perspective of time. So, bro, those are just super important to us. And
all right, guys. So one more time, DistroKid is the official first sponsor for the podcast. Please make sure that you click the link in the description box of this podcast to be able to check it out, as we are giving you guys up to 30% off of any of the yearly plans. Get your music, your homies' music up there on iTunes, Tidal, Spotify, ASAP by doing this. And also, DistroKid helps you make sure you get your lyrics on IG as well. I know you want that on there for your story, so go ahead and do that. Now let's finish up the show.
And through both of your answers, you can clearly see why that is so important. So I'm glad that those are the pillars that you guys do have, and that not just it's something that obviously people should pay attention to, especially Black business owners, but something that you guys have identified as saying, you know what, we've noticed how this has affected us on our journey. So we want to make sure that this is something that we can help out the next generation with and just people overall. So, and speaking of actually helping out people overall, this leads me to the next question. When you guys came up with Support Black Lives, was this something that just began as soon as quarantine started, or was it until, you had the George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor situations when this kind of began? And where is it that you want to take this overall with Support Black Lives?
Yeah, it started when, obviously the George Floyd thing happened, and from us, our company is about Black colleges, but Black colleges is about the culture, and we are African American. So, me and Justin talked about it, like, how can we give to this cause? How can we help out? And so we're like, well, what do we know how to do best? And that's make clothes. And so we decided to change our logo and come up with a shirt that we could donate all the proceeds to different companies and organizations that are supporting those on the front lines and supporting those people who have been affected and who maybe got locked up, protesting, like things like that. And that was just like our direct way we felt like we could help. There's plenty of other ways that we can help and continue to help, but I think the Support Black Lives shirt, that was something that we could have and people could like literally wear those shirts forever. And always kind of have a piece of us, but also a piece of the cause with them.
Yeah, I agree that those ideas for that shirt didn't come until after all this stuff happened. But I think it's just kind of attests to our ability to adapt because, just being in the culture, especially Black culture, there's always a lot of moving parts and a lot of different things that are popping up that are trending this day and, things that are going on. But this is obviously something that's way more serious. So we wanted to be able to use our voice and our platform to kind of give back. So once all this stuff started happening, we figured that, we'll do something. And this is what we kind of came up with. And we were able to raise a lot of money that we're going to donate back to all of these causes too. So I think it's something that we'll keep around for a long time. And we'll donate, portions of the proceeds to different causes that we support. But it's kind of cool to be able to say, like, we were just a clothing brand, but we're able to match these, big celebrities or public figures and things of that nature and give just as much money as they would. And we're just two kids with a clothing brand. So, yeah.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing that you guys are being able to leverage everything that what you've been able to do so far to help out people. Because as we just said in the mental health, mentorship, community service, and scholarship piece, it's important right now for especially our people to see us doing that for each other and to be able to say, you know what, I may not be the biggest celebrity in the world, but with what I'm doing and the platform I have, I am able to give back and to help you out. So to see that you guys are both doing that is outstanding. And I'm glad that you both are doing that work. Last few things so we can get you guys up out of here. Something that I always ask people that I talk to, whether that's on my radio show, whether the podcast, or if I'm interviewing anybody about specifically what it is that they want to do. So for this one, I'm going to cater it towards SBC. If we look into 2030, what does SBC look like at that point in time?
I think we'll both have different answers for this because me and Corey think a lot differently. But 10 years from now, one of my big goals is to make everything Black owned from start to finish. So, we hire a bunch of Black kids and a bunch of Black men and women that, went to HBCUs, things of that nature. But I want to be creating everything from literally from start to finish, all owned by us, all Black hands involved, and all the way till the package gets delivered to the customer. So that comes with owning our own acreage and different machinery that we are cutting these fabrics ourselves and building everything ourselves from ground up. And also, I think, 10 years from now, I want to say $1 billion business, honestly, because I think that we have the potential to get a lot of different talent behind us, like types of people like LeBron James, Oprah, things of that nature, and signing different talent of that caliber to really stand behind a business that is supporting our community and our causes and our culture. So that's what I'm seeing in the future. Black owned from start to finish, and a lot of big talent, and then being able to donate a lot of money to all these different schools and revolutionize the programs that they have, especially the sports programs, to make these kids want to, their first bet is, hey, I'm going to an HBCU because I'm getting the same experience, whether I go to Duke or I go to Howard. They got the same facilities, they got the same coaches, but look, I'm going here because these people look like me. So I think we'll be able to change that narrative too. So if I had to say 10 years from now, I think $1 billion business, everything owned by us from start to finish, and we've been able to give millions of dollars to different programs to build them up to make these kids want to go to our schools off the rip.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. I feel like every day I have a new thought of what 10 years will look like from now, because it's so hard to tell. Me and Justin both say we think we're operating in like less than 10% of our potential. We do no wholesale, we do no big accounts, but all just e-commerce. Like we haven't even really scratched the surface. One thing that I would say is I would like to either reopen or open our own HBCU. I think that'd be really cool. The schools like Morris, Brown, other schools that have closed, or like Bennett College that is close to closing because their facilities are really bad. I would love to be able to say support that college is the reason why this is stayed open or reopen. I think that'd be really cool because we're literally supporting black colleges. I think that'd be super dope. I do see like Justin said, like the black Nike, but just not like as far as athletic, just more like the brand recognition. And I would love to sign some athletes. Like I would love to sign some actors and actresses and have them really represent the brand. We are their sponsors. They go into events on behalf of us. I would love to create a series like HBCU Summit, Forum or whatever, this really big event, this Coachella for HBCUs, whatever that looks like. I would love to just take it way past clothing and make it more everyday household, like big brand kind of thing. That would be really cool to me.
Woo-wee. I'm glad I got to talk to y'all early because 2030 sound lit from what y'all got going on. Okay. Yes, sir. I love to hear it, man. It's one of the things that I don't think people do enough is similar to what you're saying about Sean Parker earlier, minus slapping people, is that you got to think big, man. You really got to think about where it is that you want to go. And once you do that, kind of reverse walk your way back from how you can get there to where you are at this current point in time. So, man, that is amazing to be able to hear. All right, this July 14th. 2020. Let me make sure to set a reminder after this for 2030 to check in with y'all and be like, yo, what's good? Let's see how we can make some of this stuff happen. Last two questions, and then we'll get you guys up out of here. Who are, and maybe y'all talked about this, maybe y'all might have separate people, right? Who are the top 5 people that y'all would love to have some SBC merch, like the top 5 people that you like, oh, if I can get them to put this sweatshirt on, if I can get them to put this sweatsuit on, or them to put this shirt, like it would be lit. Who are those folks?
I think that, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll be quick. I think off rip, I'm thinking Barack Obama, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Oprah, and that's 4, and then one more, maybe LeBron. I just trying to be quick as possible, but yeah, I think that's my top 5 right there.
I mean, we got the same list essentially. I mean, Michelle, Barack, Jay-Z, Beyonce, LeBron. I'll add like a Diddy. I'll add, that's basically it. I mean, you got the real heavy hitters. I would even say somebody like Kanye West, Kim Kardashian. I think that they'll change the outlook of the business, right? Something like Travis Scott as well. Okay,
definitely star powered list. I will say with the Kanye and Kim thing, look, man, their kids gonna be, of right age by 2030 to be like, what do I want to do in my life? So I think that's something that's entirely possible within the next couple of years. And last thing that I want to ask you guys both is that do you have any advice for people that are building their business right now and are looking to get their business out there in front of people, right? Like there may be some people that have those ideas that they've been able to work on during quarantine, but they're looking to say, how can I get it out in front of the people that I want to be able to interact with it? If you got any advice for them.
Yeah, I think, my bad. You can go first last time. Go ahead.
I was going to say, do your research. A lot of people reach out to us all the time and like ask for help and stuff. And like, we don't mind like be those people that help and give advice. But a lot of people can just utilize Google and really just look. Like sometimes the answer is so simple, but people want to rely on other people to do things for them. But if it's your dream and what you really want to do, you have to take the time yourself and look at it. And then once you have specific questions, reach out to people like us so that we can help you take whatever you already started to the next level. So, I mean, do your research. That's my first thing. Do your research and don't be afraid to try new things.
Yeah, for me, I think that, COVID is kind of affecting a few things that I want to say, but I always talk about 4 things. And I think one is live events. There's nothing more easy. The easiest way to get your first sale is to either do paid advertising or to go in front of your target demographic and go sell something to them directly. So when we go on tours, the HBCU tours, we're at Howard University selling Black college gear to Black college students. It's very easy to do. So I think that people can start there. Any events that are in their city that have their target demographic, start there first and see if there's a need for your product in the market. So events. Then 2, I think learning paid advertising, Instagram ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, literally just getting on YouTube and learning as much as possible and then implementing it. Don't get analysis paralysis because that's what I had at first. But those, just learning with Facebook ads, I mean, that's the second easiest way to get sales. Targeting someone that's in your demographic and putting your advertisement in front of that person. I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. Then you got grassroots stuff. We always talk about, it's one of Corey's favorites. We put flyers under every single dorm door when we go to these different college campuses. So that's a different tactic to get your business out there. Make flyers. If your business is, you're selling clothes, then go to the mall and put flyers on every single car and give them a 15% discount if they utilize whatever code on your flyer. And then also the last thing is just making good content.
a lot of people sleep on, just putting out a lot of good content for their demographic, because that's all we do. Our page is Support Black College. We post nothing but HBCU news, and then we happen to sell clothes as well. So we're more so a media company rather than a clothing brand. But the media that we put out gets the attention that we want, and then we can sell to people that way afterwards. So I think those are probably the 4 best things that you can really dive in on to, jumpstart your business quickly.
Yo, I definitely have to say thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Remember, please to subscribe to the podcast, wherever it is that you're listening to it, so that way you can get more of this as I begin to put it out. It's a lot for me to be able to record these, go and write up about them, go and edit them. All of it, takes a lot out of me to be able to do it. So anything that you can do to contribute, to help out, whether that's sharing, whether that's rating, whether that's reviewing, whether that's subscribing, whether that's joining the Patreon, subscribing to the YouTube, following on social media, all of that goes to help me out tremendously. Thank you so very much. All right, man. Hope you have a great day. Stay blessed, stay favored. Always stay tailored. If you got a dream, see it through. And I'll see you soon. Peace and love.